Because our drinking water hose is permanently installed on a retractable reel, it's not so easy to replace. But we put it off for far too long, and it's gotten stiff and discolored from sitting on the ground. In addition to the work involved, the unusual fitting at this end prevents us from simply removing the old hose and installing a standard replacement. But in typical DIY fashion, we're going to adapt a standard 50-foot 1/2 inch diameter never kink hose, which is less than 1/3 the price of an original equipment replacement. We'll need a socket wrench, a 7/8 inch open-end wrench, a small hacksaw, flat blade screwdriver, vice grips, utility knife, some Teflon plumber's tape, and 2 very small stainless steel hose clamps. We'll start by pulling the hose all the way out. We'll then be removing this U-bolt, which acts as a strain relief on the RV end of the hose. These are the nuts on the back of the U-bolt, and here's where the hose connects to the reel. Remove the 2 nuts, and then remove the U-bolt. We'll use our open-end wrench to loosen the hose fitting, then unscrew it the rest of the way and remove it. Sliding back the spring reveals that the stainless steel fitting is permanently attached at the factory with a crimped brass collar. To salvage the fitting, we'll use our hacksaw to carefully cut through the soft brass. Now we'll spread open the cut with a flat blade screwdriver and finish the job by twisting it off with the vice grips. Slice the end of the hose with a razor knife to allow the barbed fitting to be removed. Salvaging this one part allows us to save more than 2/3 off the cost of buying an entire OEM replacement hose. We'll just clean it up a bit with a wire brush and it's ready to be used again. Placing the female ends together, lay the hoses side by side, measuring the new one to exactly match the length of the old one. As much as we'd like to use the entire 50-foot length of the new hose, the original 35 feet pretty much filled the entire reel. If we make the new one longer, it won't roll up completely. Be sure you're cutting off the male end, which will still have about 15 feet of hose attached to it. Now we'll take our new 35-foot length of hose and slide the spring over the end, followed by our 2 circular clamps. Then insert the fitting into the end. Wrap about 4 or 5 turns of white Teflon plumber's tape around the threads. Remove the 2 screws that hold the black rubber stopper in place. Position it the same distance from the end and install it around the new hose. Move the protective cap from the old hose to the new one. If you don't have a protective cap to keep your hose clean when not in use, you should get one. Now we're ready to install the new hose. The fitting is in place with the threads wrapped in Teflon tape. 2 loose hose clamps next, and the spring last. Feed the end of the hose into the guide, over and around the reel, and out the other side, pulling about 3 or 4 feet of extra slack around the reel. With the end of the hose facing towards the RV, twist it 4 or 5 turns counterclockwise, which will make it easier to get the fitting threaded. Stick the hose through the opening in the reel and start the threads. To avoid cross-threading, always start by hand, especially in this case when we're connecting metal to plastic. We didn't replace the plastic fitting with a metal one because it would have required considerable disassembly to remove it, and it was in perfectly good condition. Tighten the fitting with your open-end wrench, being extra careful not to over-tighten, again because of the metal to plastic connection. Slide the circular clamps along the hose and through the opening in the reel. Then tighten them as close to the fitting as possible. Now we'll leak test by connecting to a water source. After letting the water run on the tank fill setting to clear any air from the new hose, we'll switch to the regular city water setting to pressurize the line. Carefully inspect the connections to be sure there's absolutely no leaking. Turn off the water and let the pressure out of the line. Slide the spring all the way up the hose as far as it will go. Then reinsert the U-bolt and tighten it into place, again starting the nuts by hand before using the socket wrench. Allow the entire hose to wind up onto the reel, and you should be good to go with a nice, new, clean, flexible hose. We picked up a new female fitting at the hardware store, and now we have an extra length of drinking water safe hose. If you missed our previous videos, you can watch them here or by clicking the links down below in the video description. If you enjoy our videos, please give them a thumbs up, share them with friends, and subscribe to our channel. And be sure to connect with us on our website, thervgeeks.com, where you can subscribe to hear about our great RVing content, giveaways, and discounts as soon as they're announced. Thanks for watching.